I used to think staying quiet kept me safe. If I didn't say what I needed, if I didn't ask for help, then no one could dismiss me. No one could misunderstand me. But silence isn't safety. Silence is heavy. It weighs you down until you don't even recognize your own voice anymore. The first time I really spoke up for myself, it wasn't perfect. My voice shook. My hands were clammy. But I remember the freedom that came with it. I had finally chosen me. And that moment changed everything. That's what I want to talk about today. Becoming your own advocate. Not waiting for someone else to notice or to rescue you or to validate you, but learning to stand up for yourself in your own way, in your own life. Advocacy shows up in different forms. For me, it looked like writing my story into a book. It's looked like sharing my chaos through this podcast. It's looked like saying yes to opportunities that stretched me and scared me. But it's also been in the small choices no one sees. Saying no when I didn't have the energy. Making the appointment I'd been avoiding. Giving myself permission to rest without guilt. But here's the thing. Being your own advocate doesn't always feel brave in the moment. Sometimes it feels messy. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable or even selfish. I've had times where I thought, who am I to speak up? Who am I to ask for more? And maybe you've had those moments too, where it feels easier to shrink back, to go quiet, to just get through. But here's what I've learned. When I don't advocate for myself, the chaos grows louder inside me. My needs don't disappear just because I ignore them. They only get heavier. And when I do advocate for myself, even in small ways, I create space to breathe again. I remind myself that my story, my health, my needs are not inconveniences. They're part of being human. And it's not about being perfect. It's about being present enough to say, this matters. I matter. That voice, your voice, deserves to be heard, even if it shakes. So how do you even begin? You don't have to start by shouting your truth from the rooftops. You can start small. Write it down first. If saying it out loud feels impossible, start by writing what you need in a journal or even a note on your phone. Sometimes seeing your own words helps you believe them. Practice with safe people. Share honestly with a trusted friend, a therapist, or someone you know will listen without judgment. Use simple phrases. Advocacy doesn't have to be a long speech. It can be as small as, I need rest today, or I'm not available for that right now. Celebrate the small wins, even if it feels tiny, like saying no to something you didn't have the energy for. It's still advocacy, and it still matters. Remind yourself, it's not selfish. Taking care of your mental health is never selfish. It's survival. It's strength. These are the building blocks. And over time, those little acts of advocacy build your courage. They remind you that your voice belongs in the room. Your needs belong on the table. And your story deserves to be told. So I want to ask you, what would it look like this week to be your own advocate? Not for anyone else, not to prove anything, but just for you. Maybe it's being honest with a friend about how you're really doing. Maybe it's setting a small boundary at work. Maybe it's as simple as telling yourself, I deserve care today. Whatever it is, start there. Because once you advocate for yourself, you'll start to see just how powerful your voice really is. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need a stage or a spotlight. Advocacy begins in the quiet moments where you finally choose to honor your needs. And here's the truth. The more you learn to advocate for yourself, the more courage you'll have to be a voice of hope for others. That's how the ripple begins. That's how we remind the world and ourselves that there is hope in the chaos. Those moments matter just as much as the big ones, because they tell my mind and my body I am worth showing up for. I am worth fighting for. And that is the foundation of advocacy. And as I leave you here today, always remember, there is hope in the chaos. If this podcast has touched your heart, helped you feel less alone, or reminded you that your story matters, please consider becoming a supporter on Ko-fi. I pour my heart into every episode and illustration, and your support helps keep this space going strong. Your donations help cover production costs, support the release of Hope's Journey, and ensure that the messages we share reach more people who need to hear them. If you've ever listened and thought, this is exactly what I needed today, then please know your support can make sure someone else gets that same moment of hope. Whether it's a one-time gift or a monthly tier, every single contribution makes a real difference. Please help donate at ko-fi.com/IamHopeInTheChaos. That is ko-fi.com/IamHopeInTheChaos. I am not a licensed therapist, medical provider, or mental health professional. The experiences, stories, and insights shared in this podcast are based solely on my own personal journey and lived experiences. This content is intended only for educational, inspirational, and support purposes. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. always seek the advice of a licensed mental health professional or healthcare provider regarding your mental health or medical conditions. If you are in crisis or experiencing an emergency, contact emergency services immediately by calling 911 or reach out to the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by calling 988. And remember, there is hope in the chaos.